Hi everyone, Namaste, Kia ora, and welcome to PlatformCon 2025. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all today. This is a global community I have followed and learned from over the years. So being here, sharing something real from my journey feels really special. This talk is about what happened when we conducted internal developer portal proof of value exercise with different vendors. We thought it would be a simple pick a tool, plug it in, smooth some paths, make developers happy. But what we ran into were challenges we hadn't even named yet. Things like data gaps, fragmented text, how information shows up into portal was a real deal. So let me start this story from the moment things really shifted, not in the tools, but in what the portal started to reflect back to us. Your developer portal reflects your culture, whether you like it or not. We didn't expect that. We were just conducting a proof of value. But something deeper started surfacing. The feedback wasn't just about portal demo, but it was about how we operate, how we make decisions, what we prioritize, where about team feels frictions, talking to vendors, mapping the use cases, running the internal demos, the usual discovery loop. The portal hadn't even launched yet, but it was already holding up a mirror. So, by the time we finished our proof of value internal demos, we weren't just reviewing this tool. We were unpacking the gaps in our own data points, gaps in workflows, and clarity across the systems. But before I get into all of that, let me take a moment to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Darshit Pandya. I live in Auckland, New Zealand, and I work as a senior principal engineer in platform stream at Serco. Most of my career has been in product engineering, solving hard business problems, scaling products, but over the last few years, I delved myself into platform engineering. Now I focus on developer experience, cloud native patterns, and building resilient internal portals and platforms that speed up the delivery. I'm also an AWS community builder in serverless category and a frequent speaker at global tech conferences. Locally, I co-organize AWS serverless meetups in Auckland, serverless days conference across Australia and New Zealand, AWS Community Day conference in New Zealand, and recently I launched Platform Engineering New Zealand community for sharing our real platform stories and learnings with engineers and platform builders. So, when the idea of Internet Developer Portal came up, I raised my hand. I believed in it. I saw the friction. I thought this could be a turning point, not just about tooling, but alignment, clarity, and focus. I look at how this proof of value can be driven. And it didn't take a long to realize this was way more than picking a product and wiring it up. What followed taught me more about portal, people, and product to fit than anything I have worked before. And if you are wondering why this story matters to you, whether you are in early phase or already rolled out something in developer portal space, then the next part will probably sound familiar to you. Let me tell you why this proof of value matters. Because even before you ship a portal, you start seeing the things. We were just testing, running internal demos, getting early feedbacks, and already we were learning things we didn't expect. Tools are measurable. Developer experience is bit fuzzier, but culture that shows up how people react, how teams respond to change, what they resist. We evaluated feature sets, catalogs, scorecard, template, everything looks promising. But feature lists don't tell you what will actually land in your organizations. We weren't guessing what it looked like. We had a data, catalog entries, ownership metadata, service maturity metrics, and what we saw are duplicate entries, unknown owners, missing lifecycle stages, missing tags, key services without zero DORA metrics. It was like turning the lights on. We didn't need to imagine what needed to fixing. The data told us exactly where the friction was. And finally, we hit something deeper. People's reactions told us more than any tool feature could tell us. Even the idea of portal reflected the things, decisions ownership, trust gaps, platform and portal fatigue. This wasn't just about product market fit. This was about platform organization fit. So we didn't wait for rollout to realize this wasn't going to be a simple. Even in early proof of value, the signals were already loud and clear. So here is what I want to discuss next is our proof of value journey. Where we started, what changed, and what we learned the hard way. All right. So here is how I will walk you through our proof of value journey. We started with misconceptions. Some of them were pretty common, like thinking this was mostly a tooling exercise. Just evaluate a few platform, plug them in, and you are good to go. But the deeper we went, the more we realized how wrong those assumptions were. That's where the learnings began. Then came the actually proof of value. We met with vendors, ran these structured demos, got our engineers to test hands on for 2 weeks. We weren't just comparing the feature sets, we were testing culture fit, developer frictions, and trust. And how we ran those proof of value turned into be just as important as we were testing. Finally, we started seeing patterns, not just about the portals, but about what makes portal initiatives stick or stall. And from all that chaos, we began forming a repeatable way to approach those conversations. That's what I will share with you by end of this talk. Let's start with where we got it wrong right out of the gate. Our first big assumptions. This was first big assumptions, pick a tool, roll it out, and done. We really thought this would be a tooling decisions. Shortlist some portals, vendors, evaluate their features, pick the best one, and start rolling it out. But we were wrong because tools don't fix your culture. They reflect it. If your developers are frustrated, if trust is low, no portal, no matter how feature is rich, is going to solve that. And here what really hit us. Your developer portal will reflect the cracks that already exist in ownership, clarity, in how decisions are made, and sometimes it will amplify them. So, we knew this wasn't just about picking a tool, but we still believed that if we saw actively or activity, logins, usage, catalog, service scaffolding, it would mean we were on right track. But activity isn't value. And that become clear when we listen to the team who running the proof of value. During our 2 weeks proof of value, we saw some activity. Dashboard shows logins, catalogs, some service scaffolding, a few template runs. From the outside, it looks promising. We even had vendor states to back it up. But when we looked deeper, when we spoke to the team, actually, who is actually doing work, we heard something else. Frustrations, manual gaps, unclear ownerships, questions like, is this our to maintain? Why is these steps needed? That's when we realize activity wasn't telling us what was actually landing. It just told us something or someone had a try. So we learned no amount of tooling makes up for misaligned vision. And while we thought we had an alignment, what we actually had was four different definitions of success. Let me walk you through what alignment looked like during our proof of value. Security saw the portal as a compliance dashboard, a way to reduce the risk and bring visibility into service ownership. For platform team, it was about cataloging golden path, establishing consistency, improving onboarding, reducing cognitive load. But developers, they weren't looking for consistency. They were expecting a magic. Out of box cataloging, PagerDuty mapping, New Relic mapping in cataloging out of box. And product, they just wanted features out of the door. They thought the portal might help shipping up velocity. Everyone believed they were aligned, but what they were aligned on was entirely different things. That misalignment wasn't just philosophical. It showed up, it showed into vendor conversations, in demos, in expectations. So we ask a bigger questions. Should we even build this ourselves? It's not. It's what fits us right now. Or should we build it or buy it? What fits our maturity, our resources, our ownership model? That was our main discussion point. Can we actually build and maintain this? That was the questions we started asking. Are we ready to upgrade and support it? Would buying buy us a time? We had a we had to weigh speed versus long-term flexibility. And in the end, it all came down to fit. That mindset shifted helped us to reframe the entire proof of value and go with buy, not build. So we structured the rest of proof of value around clarity, feedback, and vendor neutrality. We defined success upfront, not in features, but with day zero, day one, and day two entry and exit criteria with artifacts. We shortlisted vendors based on the experience they could deliver, not just shiny demos. Then we ran hands on tests with actual engineers for real use cases, capture the feedback from across the teams, engineers, architects, and managers. Finally, we scored and picked the fit that worked best for us, not what we looked flashiest. And once we had that structure in place, that was momentum kicked in fast and from places we didn't expect. Let's talk about momentum. You had expect a proof of value to be slow at the start, right? Lots of back and forth, alignment, maybe some resistance. But surprisingly, our early momentum came from the places felt natural. Engineers quickly trusted the GitOps integrations. It didn't feel like bolt on, it felt familiar. That mattered more than we expected. Then we took a step back and looked at the actual different level of persona mapping. We mapped onboarding flows around real usage, not what we want, but what data can fit for. That made things click. We also brought in the security team early, not to block the progress, but to partner on this journey. That avoided a tons of headache later. And lastly, we achieved day 0, day 1, and day 2 needs from our structured proof of value criteria. That showed us how to go faster the right way. The momentum, it built confidence, not just in the tools, but in the change itself. We were gaining a momentum. GitOps landed well, catalogs golden pass, click with the engineers. Even security was on board early. But then came frictions. Some pieces just didn't click the way we thought they would. Let me honest, no proof of value is perfect, and our wasn't either. Some flows looked effortless in vendor demos. But once we tried to use them in our actual environment during the proof of value, it wasn't just plug and play. It took time, it took effort, more than we expected. That helped us to understand in vendor demos versus our proof of value experience. And it wasn't just about a tool. We hit internal gaps too. Our services metadata was messy. Our IAC wasn't consistent across the repositories and teams. And that made it hard to fully test scorecard onboarding or GitOps flow. This related to data gaps, onboarding, and internal constraints. Then came the hardest trade off. One vendor had a clean UX, but didn't go deep enough for our platform use cases. The other had a real power, but the developer workflow felt really promising. This was our proof of value reality, and it taught us fit isn't just about the features, it's about the behavior, integrations, and internal readiness. So that's what missed the mark. But it wasn't all rough. Let me show you what actually landed and why it mattered. Despite everything that didn't click the right way, some things really did work and they worked really well. First, trust was built in early. When engineers saw GitOps flow integrated natively, not bolted on, that built instant credibility. It felt real, not aspirational. Second, the feedback loop made a huge difference. This wasn't just a portal team exercise or platform team exercise. We pulled engineers into process, provided an access, and that feedback loop created early adoptions signal. Third, culture fit. The ability to compose the workflows, not rip and replace, was a huge. It aligned with how teams work today, not just how we hope they had worked tomorrow. And finally, developer flow fit. This was the turning point when the portal matched the real behavior of engineers, not some ideal golden path. We saw the momentum. And the momentum that was sustains any developer portals and its experience journey. So, yes, those were the things that actually worked. But here is the shift that surprised us most. It wasn't about a portal itself, it was everything around it. When we wrapped this POV, one thing stood out clearly: the portal was never the actual outcome. The UI is just the interface. It looks great, but it's not where we value our day to day operations. What matters most is what's underneath: the culture, the workflow, the trust. And once we began designing with our teams, not just for them, That's when it clicked. The portal just followed. So we didn't walk away with just a shiny portal demo. We walked away with a deeper lessons that challenged how we think, how we plan and execute. So where did all this leave us? We didn't roll out full portal, but we did walk away with a momentum. First, we reflected. We unpacked every part of proof of value, what surprised us, where fiction showed up, and where things quietly worked. Then we synthesized. We brought pattern together across teams, across tools, and started to understand what actually drives adoptions. And finally, we enabled others. We didn't build a finished portal, but we built something maybe more valuable, a playbook that others can use to start us stronger than we did. All right, I know this might feel like a lot. Maybe if you are still evaluating, maybe you are stuck in build versus buy loop, or maybe you have rolled out something but adoption is low. Wherever you are, I have got you. These real templates, documentations, and scorecard we use. You don't need to start from scratch. Just remix them, share them with your teams, run your own playbook. Because this isn't just a story, it's a momentum. And I want to help you carry it forward. So, if you are wondering where to begin, let me rewind for just a moment. Here is what I wish I could have told myself before we started our portal journey. So, here is the things what I wish I knew. Not in hindsight, but right at the start. First, tools don't magically fix your culture, they reflect it. If your teams lack in clarity or alignment, your portal will just surface it. And that pain, do not hide it. Second, don't chase the features. We saw fancy dashboard and shiny workflows, but they didn't land because they didn't fit how our teams work. Fit wins every times. And finally, start with behavior. The UI might impress, but it's how teams actually work that tells you if your portal has landed or not. These weren't just a learning, they were the real turning points. I hope they help you to start stronger than we did. And with all that insight, we started asking a different kind of questions. Not what we were building, but what it was saying about us. That led us to this. So let me leave you with this. What is your portal saying about your culture? Ours said a lot more than we expected. It revealed our gaps in alignment, in onboarding, even how we made assumptions about developers' need. A developer portal is never just a dashboard, it's a reflection, a mirror into your own organizations that builds, shares, and evolve. And if you are just starting, you don't need to start from scratch. I have got templates, real documentations, feedback forms, things we created during our journey, and you can adapt, remix them, or just take a inspiration from them. Because your proof of value journey, it doesn't have to start in dark. Thank you for watching and giving a time for these conversations and attentions. If you are planning your own developer portal journey or currently exploring or already in the journey, I'd love to connect. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat or share some ideas and learning from others. Or follow me on X, previously Twitter, where I often share some experiments, learning, platform engineering, serverless stuff, and about community. And if you are serious about starting your own proof of value for developer portal, message me for the IDP POV starter kit. It includes real world templates, evaluation guidelines, and feedback sheets we actually used. Thanks again, and I hope you walk away with one question in mind: what's your portal saying about your culture? Thank you.